This journey takes us through the westernmost country of Europe, Portugal. We follow the rail along the famous Douro Valley. The Douro River is the pulsating heart of Portugal, producing the world-famous port wine. As far back as man can remember, the river, more than 200 meters wide, winds its way from the interior Portugal through the mountains to flow into the Atlantic Ocean. Tourists don't come here very often. On the rough mountain slopes, animals have all the freedom to roam. As we go down the river by boat, the landscape changes by the hour. Human hands have worked the slopes here for hundreds of years to grow grapes. The riverbanks offer a panorama of terraced vineyards, kilometers long. The difference in the fall of the river is great. Consequently, we have to pass through many locks to get to lower areas. After the Vieira lock, we disembark in Pinhao, a village like many others along the Douro. The mansions were built in the 15th and 16th centuries. Near this village, Ferdinand Magellan was born, the first man to sail around the world. Pinhao is reasonably prosperous. At weekends especially, there is great activity when farmers from the area come to bring their merchandise. The main source of income in Pinhao is port. The success of port is owed primarily to the English. As early as the 17th century, they liked French wines, but were not always able to buy them.
They were in permanent wars against the French, so that source of supply was impossible to maintain. They came inland. They passed these chains of mountains that protect the Douro region from the influence of the sea. And they discovered that here there was a small wine production, but wine was very, very good. It was a rich, intense wine. Very much adequate to the British taste. So that's how port was born. Due to this chain of mountains, it's much drier than near the coast. This makes the wines more rich, the grapes more rich in sugar. The soil is very poor. As you can see, it's basically slate. It's a rock that's very arid, but as it is not a compact rock, it helps in keeping the water in the crevices from winter time to summertime. That's why the vines survive the extreme heat and dryness of the Douro summer.
Que eu te dei na praia ao luar, cantarei, cantarei mais dia. Meu amor, nosso amor voltará. Pera verde, ó verde pera, e amor do meu coração. Pera verde, ó verde pera, e amor do meu coração. Amor do meu coração, e quanto tenho já é teu. Só a minha alma não quero dá-la a quem me deu. Só a minha alma não quero dá-la a quem me deu.
Grapes are harvested in September and October. Nearly the whole population of the Douro Valley is involved. As soon as the bunches of grapes are picked, the pressing can start. Small farmers have been doing this the same way for centuries. Even though Pinhão is small, it does have its own railway station. Large areas of the station are tiled, and the beautiful sky blue paint of the tiles can be found throughout Portugal. The engine driver of the only train that passes here daily reports to the station master. We board the train and continue towards Porto. Some decades ago, a steam train ran here. Today, passengers travel in an aluminum diesel train. Through the mountains and along the Douro, we head for Regua. The journey is breathtaking. Regua is situated on the northern bank of the Douro. This small town is especially known for its hot springs. Regua is also famous because one of the oldest port houses is situated here. But we have not disembarked for the port or the springs. Instead, we cross the river to go to Lamego. This place is considered the cultural capital of the Douro Valley. The glamorous center of Lamego is the Cathedral of Senhora dos Remedios. Tens of thousands of visitors from all over the country come annually to this holy place built up against a mountain. In Portugal, lamego as well as regua are known for the delicate flavor of smoked hams. In both places, they hang on the corner of every street. They're made with craftsmanship, as is so much work done here. The wine growers, who are affiliated with cooperatives, deliver their grape bunches here. The grapes are weighed and then processed by modern means. To achieve a good basis for port, the grapes have to meet many requirements. The secret of good port lies in a mixture of excellent wine and about 20% brandy distilled from wine. This, together with the ideal climactic circumstances, a special soil condition, and centuries of experience, counts for the unique flavor of port. Our journey goes on. The railway takes us along the banks of the Douro and then turns towards Losado. We arrive in Losado. The reason for our stopover are the old steam locomotives. They are in a small museum. In earlier days, they pulled dozens of wagon loads of grapes along the banks of the river towards Porto. The locomotives come from England, like so much in the Port District. The collection in the Railway Museum is large. We even find an old hospital carriage there, beautifully preserved. In these carriages, the sick or wounded could be transported quickly, although the bumpy ride across the mountain slopes must not have been a pleasant one. One of the showpieces is a locomotive from 1873. This colossus was built by the British firm Hawthorne and Company. Apart from the locomotives, the museum has a choice of elegant and special carriages. People without a knowledge of trains, as well as the experts, can find their delight here. The Rail Museum in Losado also has a little rail line of its own that allows one to make a fine journey through the surrounding mountain region. We leave Losado and start on our way to our final destination, Porto. Porto, sometimes called the capital of North Portugal, is situated at the mouth of the Douro. It is the center of the Costa Verde, the green coast. The station itself announces the beauty of the city, with its beautifully painted tiles decorating the walls. Porto is a town full of Baroque architecture. The stately mansions here form a decor for great activity, as almost 500,000 people live and work here.
Lá mais uma, bem pesado.
Quantas tinha? Quantas tinha?
The banks of the Douro are connected by beautiful bridges. The finest of these is the Ponto de Louis I. This iron bridge was built in the tradition of the great French architect Eiffel. At the foot of the bridge lie port ships that once sailed along the Douro. Porto, the city that gave its name to the drink that is so important to its economy. It still is the center of the port trade. Tens of thousands of bottles of port are stored in the numerous cellars there. Some are more than 200 years old. Some port improves in flavor in the bottle. Other kinds are stored in barrels for years. In these barrels, each containing more than 500 liters of port, the process of maturing takes place. The barrels themselves last a long time. When the wood is saturated, they are taken apart, dried and put together again, as it has been done for hundreds of years. After all the work is done, we now wait for the results of the maturing process. A good year for grape cultivation plays an important part in this.
If it is a very good year, and this happens in a decade 3 or 4 times, we, after 2 years of staying in the vats, we decide it's a vintage. And then we take the wine into bottle and start aging the wine in bottles there. A tawny port is a blend of different years, whilst the vintage is only a 1-year port wine aging in bottle. Tawny ages in wood, and it's a blend of different years. We need to have a lot of stock of old wines in order to make the blends. The blends require different years. Not all the years are the same, but the tasting room really needs lots of different years in order to make the blends. So it comes from here, the year 1975, from here it comes the 1980 something, and then there is a blend which they are going to use of different years, of the different characteristics of different years. We tend to say that here in Oporto you have the best conditions for aging. We have lots of humidity, we have lots of good weather, never having the very hot and very cold weather that we have there in the Douro. And on the other hand, we have also all the blenders that really control the wines. They are here and not in the Douro.
Once matured in bottle or barrel, the port is still not ready to be sent off. Experienced inspectors test the port for taste, color, and scent, a work that is taken highly seriously. Then, when approval is received from the inspector, the port may be bottled. These bottles are exported all over the world. For the grapes that once grew on the banks of the beautiful Douro, a long journey, sometimes even years in length, has come to an end.
Splendid. Really splendid.